Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
And we are back. Yes, we're back. And you are
unmuted.
And you are listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and we are now joined with our American Muslim 360 family and our co-host Kareem Hamid. And we want to say welcome to all who are listening and joining us today. Wa alaikum salam. So thankful for all of your patience this morning. We had to move to a new computer system, so that was a little bit of an adjustment, but we are here live on our Female Solution Facebook page and live on Blog Talk Radio. And we are so excited to be able to help some people today. We have two marital situations that we want to take a look at, and of course, get the wisdom of our co-host as well as our listening audience. Because, you know, as we always say, Brother Kareem, that marriage is the foundation of our society. And when we can keep our marriages together and we can keep our families together, we can build strong communities. But sometimes couples reach a breaking point and maybe they need a little bit of help. Maybe they need a little bit of guidance, or maybe they need to go through the process of ending the relationship because it simply isn't working. So either way, it's a period of pain that the whole family experiences. So today we want to take a look at two situations. One, a longtime couple that have raised all their children and are considering ending it. And the second one, a couple that's just been together a few years, but they have a young child and they have to think about what is the future of the child. So in this first hour, we're going to look at this first couple, Jim and Barbara. And of course, I've explained to our listening audience that the names have been changed to protect the privacy. So if this sounds like you, well, it might be, but we've changed the name, so it isn't you. But if it's your situation, then we hope you get some help from what we discussed today. So now Jim and Barbara have been married for a number of years. They've raised 3 children, and the last child just left the nest and is a freshman in college. Well, the zest is gone from their marriage. They argue a lot. They realize that they both have been restless and unhappy for a long time, and we're staying together basically for the sake of that last child. And also, it just would be a hassle to try to sell the house they live in and decide who should move out. But they have gotten to the point where they feel like they just can't stand each other. They're fighting all the time, irritated at each other's presence. Well, should they take steps to rekindle their marriage? Has been over 2 decades. Should they take steps to rekindle it, maybe get counseling? Or is this a sign that it's time to let it go? And a lot of times, couples realize that the only thing holding them together was the children. And once the children leave, they realize we don't really have anything in common anymore. Our whole life was raising the children. Well, we've done that. Now, whatever the attraction was that brought us together, that seems to be gone. The fun is gone. The spark is gone. Everything is just, I'm tired of you and tired of your habits. And do I really need to put up with you anymore? And yet there is something to be said about stability. Studies have shown that even when the children are grown, they still are adversely affected by divorce. But the question is, do we stay together for the children, or does every person have a right to be happy, or is the unhappiness really inside of you? No matter where you go, you're going to have to face your inner unhappiness. So why not try to work it out? Also, one of the things we mentioned, Kareem, is that there's such a stigma on divorce, and even the language failed marriage. Well, with that stigma, you feel like if you leave, you have failed in life. But if you stay and you're miserable, you're unhappy and you make everybody else unhappy. So what is the best way for them to approach their unhappiness and the fact that what they felt was the glue that was keeping them together, that last child to finally leave and go away to college, is no longer there? Is it worth trying to rekindle what was there, or maybe they need to part ways? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, in the Quran, Almighty God tell us that if there is a fracture in the relationship of the sacred bonds of marriage, that if both parties, if they seek reconciliation, they should consult a party from out of both families. And these family members should be of sound judgment upon their estimation, should be stable in their thinking, and just consult and seek advice and help from members of both families, because the marriage is not just between the two individuals. The partners, the families are wedded, especially now. They have three children from this marriage. Their aunts, uncle, grandparents. So I would advise, if they seek reconciliation, if there's still a slight desire, no matter how faint or whatever, but before totally separate, I think they should meet with responsible people from both families and speak honestly about what the problem is. Like you said, that they had grown apart, they didn't have anything in common anymore, they were all part of this fight. But at any time, we have the ability to hit the reset button. The reset button. The children, all of the energy and effort was going toward raising the children and making sure that they were stable and moving forward in their lives. But that took teamwork to do that. That took an agreement to achieve that. They were successful at that. So it does show that that there is a positiveness that can be the result of both of them joining a joint effort. They were successful. So before coming to the final conclusion, they should meet with responsible family members and discuss their relationship. But if after consulting with the family members, to reconcile, then they should have an amicable divorce. If both of them, from what I'm hearing here, both of them are in agreement concerning the state of their marriage. But this is the last ditch effort to meet with all concerned. And those that have a concern for them will give the best advice, the best help that they can to see if this marriage can be saved. Because you're not only saving a marriage, you are saving the connection with family. With family, these are very serious issues. So they have been successful. I mean, they spent 20-something years raising, nurturing, and advising 3 children. And from what you have shared, the children seem to be stabilized and on their way toward their journey in life. But this will have an effect on their children. It will. Divorces not just affect the two parties in the marriage. It reverberates throughout the family. So if responsible members from both families, and there is if the desire to reconcile is still there after that, then they should agree to reconcile and let him the reset. Our lives are going somewhere. We reconcile and let him the reset. So if they can identify a purpose or a goal that the marriage is heading towards, they have already achieved success in a most important part, that is raising their children. If they can hit the reset button and identify stated goals that they are working toward, so that's my advice. They should feel good about themselves, that they have successfully raised children, but also seek counseling from your family members or those that are qualified to give you counsel. But this is a very serious decision to be made here. It affects everyone connected to it. So that's my advice, and I would hope that they would reconsider, hit the reset button. Life has to have a purpose, identify a purpose, a reason why, a reasoning why. People have to have a reason why and a purpose for their lives. So I'll leave that up to them to identify that purpose. But first, let's bring all parties concerned, even the children. I'm sure they have an opinion also. So
yes.
That's pointing to the seriousness of what they are planning to divorce. And if there is room enough to hit the reset button, and they should, at first, let's start off by congratulating each other. Although we were arguing in cloud, but we did achieve something positive. We raised children, but I can tell you now, those children, they was raised in that environment But success is not just because they reach a certain age and they go to a certain college. The emotional level of those children, how they have suffered. It's just not about you too. So I would sit and talk with them also, and responsible family members, before the breach is made and they have severed the ties of the sacred, these are sacred matters, of the sacred bond of marriage. There's much more to be said on that, but that is the prescription that Almighty God has shared with us, that we should meet with responsible family members and see if they can bring about a reconciliation, if that is what both parties desire. If not, then they should apart, but not with hatred. They should sever those ties, but not with hatred. If the agreement is amicable, if we both agree, then we can do this in a civilized way. I wish you no ill. For real, I wish you no ill. And we can go on with our lives. But because we have children, we are inescapably still connected to one another. And how we treat one another. The parenting doesn't stop just because of a number that someone reaches. The parenting stops when the parent is no longer physically with us. It continues. So try to make it as peace. If that is your desire to separate, try to make it as peace. And have a concern for the rest of the family, not just you two. Have a concern for your children, your aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, everyone. And let's see if we can repair this rift and hit the reset button. I thank you.
Well, I think that is wise advice. You said something that I think deserves to be explored, to reconsider the reason for their staying together. And sometimes when we marry, we don't have a strong enough purpose that binds us. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to take a look at what are some of the purposes that perhaps this couple had in the beginning, and what is a good, strong purpose for staying together. Is the purpose of your union strong enough to hold you forever, or is it something that would wear out? So we'll take a look at that. There are some couples now that may be considering marriage and may be hesitant because they don't know if this love can last, if this is just a temporary romance. Is there something binding enough to last that forever that we would like it to be? And people are living longer now. So is the expectation that you're going to stay with one person forever realistic, or is it just tradition? And how disruptive is it to end a marriage and break up a family after the children have grown? We'll talk about that when we come back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we'll open your mic and get your thoughts. And if you're watching us live on Facebook, feel free to type in your comments. We'll share them with our listening audience. We'll be right back after this quick break, so stay with us.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Bianca, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist solution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
Tune in to Global Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear great topics and stories on grief and turn it into victory. Join Dr. Debbie Green to listen to stories of triumph and learn how to overcome. You are not alone in your life, and there is hope in the darkest hour. This is your time to learn strategies and solutions to improve your life. It's your time. So join Dr. Debbie Green with Global Solutions and call in on Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 515-605-9325 with comments and questions. Look to hear from you real soon.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/The Media Connection TV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their stories to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on cable TV channel 19 in Chicago and other cities. Check your local cable listing.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and I'm joined with my co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family as we answer the question or address the issue of marriage and when to know whether to divorce or reconcile. How to decide what is best. It's not an easy thing. It's never an easy decision. But there are times when your relationship reaches a breaking point. One of the reasons why our society is having such difficulties is because the rate of broken families have increased, and it creates a destabilization in the communities in which we live. It creates an economic crisis because there are less people cooperating. Families generally are more than just the husband and wife. They're the extended families, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and generally people work together when someone is in distress. But when the family breaks apart, a lot of those structures disappear. So we're seeing the result of broken families. So as our co-host Kareem has said, it's not just the two people. It's everybody that's connected to them that's a part of the decision they make to break apart the family. So how can we encourage people to keep those family ties that are tying so many people together, not just themselves? And is there a way to rekindle what was lost? So, Kareem, one of the things that we are looking at is what brought this couple together in the first place, and whether or not those reasons are the kinds of reasons that can sustain a lifelong commitment. Well, one of the things I know that they love to roller skate together. That was a thing. They did their regular weekly roller skating as a younger couple. Well, that's something that's no longer a part of what they do. Different physical ailments, weight gain, arthritis. So the physical activity is no longer a part of the things that they do that brought some fun and life to their lives. And also, they had been part of a spiritual community. They had been part of a church that was where they used to live before they moved to their current location. They both became inactive and are not connected to a wider spiritual family. And for the most part, because they moved away from the home in which they met each other, they're not as connected to the in-laws, the family that lives in the old state where they originally met. So a lot of the ties, the extended ties that were there are not there. And sometimes these are things that can keep a couple together, and sometimes they are things that can reinforce a relationship. But when the other parts are not there and you just have your two personalities, and you have to look at, what do I really like about you? What do I really not like about you? Sometimes we're faced with some things. It's been said that during this COVID crisis, there have been a lot of increases in divorces simply because people have discovered they don't really like being around each other. And because they've had to spend more time together, they've had more time to experience each other's faults and shortcomings. They have maybe had more time to interact, whereas before, if most of the day they were at work, they came together maybe for meals, and then you went to bed, got back up, and started the whole work routine again. So you really didn't spend as much time together. And now with the increased spending of time, you're discovering that this person maybe has little irritating habits that you didn't really notice because you didn't have to be around it that much. So in your opinion, and we invite those of you who are on our switchboard, feel free to press 1, add your thoughts. Those who are listening online, feel free to call in 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. Be sure to press 1 so we know you have something to say. And if you're watching us live on Facebook, on the Female Solution Facebook page, feel free to write in your comments. But in your opinion, what are some things, some purposes, some visions that a couple can have at the outset that can be long enough lasting that will sustain them for the rest of their lives in a marriage? In your opinion, what are some of the things that keep someone together, other than, we always love each other, but then sometimes you fall out of love because you start to get irritated with that person? So besides what people think of as love, attraction, or whatever, what is something that can cement them together even beyond after the children have moved out?
Yes, thank you. Let me see it. Let's see now. I want to be speaking. Well, okay. I'm not on mute.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, that happens to us. So,
yeah.
You mentioned that they moved away and they were not stable in their spiritual walking, that they did not attend their religious services anymore. God is the ultimate stabilizer in our lives. principles do not, the principles attached from God to us are eternal, and they're universal. No matter what our faith, God is the stabilizer, because we will be challenged. We will be challenged with what life brings. Life brings challenges, and it is designed to do that so that we grow. But the stabilizing force for us as human beings is to have a solid relationship with the Creator. When the ties to our Creator is loosened, then we have separated from the character and the behavior that is associated with having a spiritual connection with the Creator. How we behave, how we treat one another, how we view one another, becomes very lax, because it's not just going to the house of worship. It is applying the overriding principles that religious life brings to us. It's a stabilizing force. They are eternal. The desire to spend the best of my human energy benefiting another person other than myself. Other than myself. That is one of the, that is a very important aspect of spirituality, of having religion, how we treat one another. We are social creatures. So when we step away from those practices, those overriding practices, love for your brother what you want for yourself, all of those are, that is universal. What you have done to the least of these, you have done unto me. Those are stabilizers. We will be challenged in this life. So you say what purpose you have. The purpose for life to realize and understand that we did not bring ourselves into existence, and that we owe a debt to the Creator for having brought us into this wonderful existence and all the benefit that comes from that. So the purpose of life should be to please my Lord and Creator. I'm going to have challenges. I'm going to experience pain, happiness, laughter, joy, all of those emotional things that affect us as human beings. But if I stay attached to the universal overriding principle that religion brings, that our human nature is asking for. In other words, take me beyond my own will. Take me beyond my own thinking. I need something more stable than my own thinking. I need something more stable than my own emotional nature. I need something that is a stabilizer in my life. That is this marriage also. If both parties realize and make the connection back with the Creator and connect with those overriding principles of goodness, kindness, of caring about how you make someone feel. The language that you use.
Now that is important. You know, that's an important thing. How caring how you make someone feel. And I think in the course of arguments, people stop caring how they're making another person feel. We've got a call on the line. If we can, I'd like to go to our caller, area code 863-816, Grand Rising. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and what's your thoughts?
Grand Rising, LA and Central Florida. I want to probably put a teeny tiny tweak on this conversation, but I think it blends into it. I think if now every relationship is different.
Right.
But I think if we look at, well, let me give a statistic. In the United States, I don't know how accurate this statistic is, but I've read it in a couple of places. 71 to 72% of the divorces in the United States are basically initiated by the woman.
Really?
So, and once again, every case is different. So I think, regardless of who initiates the split, I think we need to take a look at the root cause of why they're splitting up. And in order to do that, is my belief, you got to go all the way back and look at what was the root cause of the cause that caused these two people to get together in the first place. Now, just from my personal observations, particularly among some male friends of mine over periods of time, and other people I've observed, is a lot of relationships, not all, I don't know what the percentage is, but a lot of relationships, matter of fact, in my own family, my mother's second husband, it started because she needed a babysitter.
Wow.
So, hey, that's the reality. They stayed together for, till death do you part. But that's how it was. That was the root. My mother, her words, not mine. She did, and I've known some other women, and I've known some men that, if you look at it now, they're not going to verbalize and say that, and maybe they didn't even practically realize that. But a lot of relationships do start because somebody needed a babysitter. The other thing is, many people move in together. Now, they even move in, or maybe they even get married because they need to make ends meet. So if they can't make that car note or make that rent payment or mortgage payment or student loan or whatever, a lot of relationships have come into full bloom, including getting married, because based on that. And then the third thing I've observed, and I think this applies to everybody, when people get in relationships, they're looking at that other person, and I think there's nothing wrong with this part, as they're adding value to your life. Now, whatever that value is, that's very subjective from person to person. It might not have anything to do with materiality at all. I mean, if you got a spiritual, they could be meeting your needs spiritually, and that could be the root cause of you two getting together. But going back to the babysitter theory and the I need another paycheck in this house theory, it's once that purpose, once the children are now independent, that purpose or that mission has been fulfilled, and that relationship is over. Or I know a number of guys that got kicked to the curb, and how it happened was the woman that one guy, he was with her for 17 years, but once her retirement check kicked in, he was out the door.
Wow.
So and he came into her life when she was just out of a relationship, and she had 2 boys to raise by herself. Now, she had a job and everything, but now once again, this is how LA's looking at it with my filter. I'm just saying. Those are my comments.
Well, we thank you, LA, for those comments. Kareem, I think of a lot of couples where the incentive was, as he said, needing that second income, and or somebody, and this is kind of a significant thing. He mentioned that statistically speaking, it tends to be the woman that initiates the divorce in these times. Well, it used to be that women stayed in a relationship that they may have been unhappy in, but they stayed because of financial need. And now that more women are financially independent, as a matter of fact, the statistic has shown the more women were employed and basically financially self-sufficient, the higher the divorce rate. So is it a good thing to stay with someone just because you need their money if you really don't enjoy their company? So how do you deal with a situation like that when maybe the real reason was for financial convenience, and now that maybe your finances have changed, maybe you have your own job, or the house is paid off, or whatever the case may be, you don't have those same debts, and you don't really feel like you need that person anymore. Is it should you end it, or was it cruel to just kind of use them that way for so long? What are your thoughts on that?
LA brings up some good points, but I'll add to that. Usually, sometimes, not only in all cases, but in a lot of cases, how you begin dictates how you end. If if your only concern is materialism, now material is important in our human lives. Yes, it is. It is important in our human lives. It's a necessary, no doubt about that, to sustain our lives and the earning power of your mate, the earning power of your husband. I can see a woman looking at that. But if that is the only reason, if that is the only purpose for marrying someone, for getting into someone's life and you folding yourself into their life and they're into your life, you are setting yourself up to be miserable. Miserable. Because you find no redeeming quality in that person other than a paycheck. But there's more to life than that. There's the interaction and the dynamics of the family and the marriage. And you can't stand that person in operating in those dynamics. You set yourself up for torture. So if that is your only purpose, you're putting yourself in a prison. You're putting yourself in a very, very torturous position to be. I can't stand him, girl. Well, he earned 6 figures. I can't stand to be around him. I hate when she comes home. I hate when he comes home. There's nothing else I got to. Now you put yourself in that hellfire. Those things will not satisfy who you really are. In time, those things become so worthless to you because you did not prepare yourself spiritually, morally, to join souls with another human being, to share living shroud, living space with another human being. Life has to be lived. And is this just based on the paycheck? There's more departments to life other than the accumulation of things.
Wow.
You're putting yourself in a very constricted cage. Don't blame anyone else. First, purify your intentions. That is most important for us as human beings, that we purify our intentions, that our intentions be correct, that our intentions be above board, not with some ulterior motive that we're not sharing with that person that we're partnering with. The intention has to be, all matters are judged by intention. If all he is a walking paycheck to you, you have set yourself up to be miserable. If all she is a walking paycheck, brother, you have set yourself up for misery. Because there's
Absolutely.
more to life than an income, than a wage. I'm just saying.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, we have to be honest with ourselves, that's for sure. And sometimes in the midst of economic hardship, we make survival decisions. And like you say, the way things begin is the way they end. Is this a decision based on financial need, and you're tolerating this person because they make sure there's a roof over your head that you can't pay for by yourself? Or do you really enjoy their company? Do you really have mutual goals? Do you really like each other? And do you have that connection to perhaps a wider family, a wider spiritual community, a wider group that helps to cement your relationship? Or is it just, look, this person makes money and can take care of me and gives me security. I can't stand them, but as long as they're gone, I don't mind. I got a house. I mean, is it really? Think about that for real. Now with COVID, they're home all the time, many times. And so you have to face, do you really like this person? You're in that house with them all the time. We got to take another break. And we'll take a call when we get back. We'll, area code 779-801. We're coming to you next. We'll be right back after this break.
Actually,
you've got callers on your switchboard as well?
On the line, so we'll
all right.
address them when we get back from this public service announcement.
All right. We'll be right back. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment.
Oh, man, God sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark.
Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
Do you worry about finances, family, health, job, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answered yes to any of these questions, help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down-to-earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice daily. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. To take advantage of the deal of the day, go to zeldaspeaks.com or call 312-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's zeldaspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today. Visit zeldaspeaks.com.
Are you constantly arguing with your spouse? Are your children misbehaving and acting out? Someone in your family abusing drugs? Have you been a victim of domestic violence? Are you grieving over the loss of a loved one? Let us help you restore serenity to your life. At Serenity Family Social Services, we understand that good mental health is a result of emotional well-being. Our goal is to assist you and your family in removing emotional distress and restoring harmony and balance to your lives. We offer individual, couples, and family counseling. I'm Howard Williams, CEO of Serenity Family Social Services. Call us today at 312-315-4820. That's 312-315-4820.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, your host, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family, as we take a look at this question of reconciliation or divorce, how to decide what is best. Well, we've got some callers on the line, and let me go to 779, and then we'll take the caller on your switchboard if we can. Area code 779. Thank you for calling. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. This is Maika.
Yes.
Glad to hear you. I wanted to chime in on this. I actually reconciliation, although reconciliation can be very difficult because true reconciliation means confession. And you have to confess your contribution to the problem. And you have to dig deep into your soul. I'm going through a soul searching process right now because of the Christ that I created. And so it really means being honest with yourself. I mean, we have tendencies that we in ourselves that we don't even know. We didn't intentionally plant there. We just inherited them. And we have to dig those boogaboos out. Make them ineffective in our lives anymore. Like, just being overly critical with ourselves and each other. Being evil spirit, having an evil spirit or evil mind, revenge and hate. Unforgiveness, we go through all that mean-spiritedness, we have all that stuff in us, and if we don't have a way of getting it out of us, it's expressed to those closest to us. And so, it just piles up and piles up. I know in my consideration of divorce, I think one of the biggest considerations for me was that I wanted my children to have a father in their lives, and being separated, that became sometimes unprofitable in terms of how it turned out, because there was always animosity. See, those things didn't go away with the divorce. The animosity, the hate, the revenge, the disappointment, all those stayed in even after divorce. So it affected the children, it affected me, it affected my husband. So that's why I say reconciliation, because it takes care of all of that. But you have to really want to work on healing and being the best you possible in the situation. So that's what I've learned from his whole divorce and marriage situation. And the other thing in terms of marriage, we have to begin our marriage with something real. We have to build our marriage. The most real thing I think you can build a marriage with is principles.
Absolutely.
I think if we set out to be principled people, then that we're going to love each other, and this is what love looks like, and be truthful to each other, and that we build on that, and we encourage that in each other. And that if we start the marriage like that, I think we have a better chance of making it work. And so right now, we just follow a pattern that's been set for us by Europeans. Slaves coming out of slavery they just, some family was what they saw the Europeans doing. But the Europeans weren't really being family. They were being mean to each other and enslaving people and stuff like that. They didn't really have principles in their relationships as foundation pieces. And so we didn't think that oftentimes that's what we need more than anything else, the principles. Principles. We have to have them in our lives. So thank you for letting me share.
Well, thank you so much, Micah.
Thank you, Micah.
Yes.
Micah, thank you.
Well, she said
So
some
important.
things that I guess we will kind of take a look at in a minute. But let me let you go to your caller on your switchboard, and then we've got another one, 773-977 after the one on your switchboard. Go right ahead.
Okay, code 650-669. Welcome to the Female Solution.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Rashid Salam. Greetings to both of you guys, Naima and Kareem. Well, you guys picked a serious subject this morning.
Oh, yes. Well,
That's
thank you
why
for joining us.
I
And that was Rashid. So now, can you tell us how to spell your name? I want to make sure I put it on our Facebook page. How do you spell your name?
Yeah, Rashid Salam, Rasheed. Salam, Salaam. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Now it's SAL
AAM.
Rashid Salam. And that was SRASHEED.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you were from Missouri. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. I know what show me. Oh, God. I mean, what a comprehensive thought process that has to go into this whole thing. And I think the sister who just got off the telephone said something that was really major. Nobody ever gave us a blueprint for marriage or any of those types of things. And it's a whole generational concept that's taking place here that a lot of times we just don't pay attention to. But what I did want to say, one of the key elements that we have to even have a relationship before we can reconcile or divorce, if you can start off that relationship with one key thing, my grandmother told me, if you can't talk to that person, you got a problem. If you don't know that person's family, each one of you guys know each other's family, you have a problem. So you have to get to know each other so you can determine the character of an individual. So by starting off, I always say, and I think this is something that we should do, get to know that person's family, number one. So you know root cause, types of lifestyle that they live, the type of people that they grew up with, or who raised them, which would develop in you an idea what that character may be in that particular person, whether they have the capacity or not to be a good man or a good woman, whoever it may be. So family really is one of the key elements. Like getting to know that person's family is always a key element. And you know, how can you have a relationship when you can't relate? So that's when communication comes in. And if you can't talk to that person, when something happens to that person or a significant emotional event, you don't know how that person is going to react to it, such as a death in the family, hard trials and tribulations. And you know, a lot of people always want to blame finances on why people break up. Well, you know, that doesn't really matter if they have an opportunity to know who that person is. You know how they will react to a financial situation, how one will be able to have the capacity to function under that situation. You never communicated. You really never got to know each other. So by getting the opportunity to know each other at a certain thing, you know the principles of an individual,
you know, the opportunities that as far as planning and things like that. If you can talk about things as they happen in a relationship, that's where communication comes in at. Whether you have a difference of opinion or not, if you can talk about it, you can always come to some form of conclusion about that particular thing. And you always want to go into a relationship with a plan. So the guidelines that we should have before we go into a relationship, we can't let it be emotional. And I think a lot of times the emotional piece, what you say, I need some money, I need a babysitter, I need this. No, it's all emotional thought process. What is the plan to go into a relationship and be prepared for children? You want to rent, you want to buy, you want to continue getting your education. Do I want to continue getting my education? All those components must be discussed up front. And I think Kareem made it plain. If you go in with one purpose in mind, guess what? That purpose is going to eventually end because life changes every day. You know, things happen to us all the time. And to take on the role that this world has presented to us as what a relationship is one of the worst things we can do. So we go right back to one thing I call the perfect triangle: spiritual, physical, and mental. Within each one of those components, if it's not packaged or it's not connecting, you're going to have a problem down the road. So we have two different religions, but we don't want to participate in religion anymore. Now we got a mental problem because now we're not communicating from a physical perspective. If you have a problem when somebody gets sick in the family, so you have a physical problem or a health problem, then we have never dealt with that or looked into what that would mean if something did happen like that. Did we plan for these types of things to happen? And it's just a really, really comprehensive concept that we have to take on when we start talking about relationships. That is nothing to play with. To be in a position with another person to spend your life together or want to spend your life together and not have an idea, not have a plan, not have a stabilizing concept of what this thing is all about. So if you don't know, guess what? You can rest assured you won't know. Because most of the time in our relationship, most of us don't even know that we don't even know. And that's a devastating situation for most of us. And we have to get to know each other. We have to know what that character of that person is. We have to know what their capacity to do things are. We have to know the potential of that particular person. So it's you guys have said everything that needs to be said. Now how can we package this and put it in a way that we can use this as an outline to start relationships with the people? Because this is a tremendously educational and informative situation. And we as African American people in this country know that we do not know a lot of things about life, a lot of things about relationships, a lot of things about finance, a lot of things about trials and tribulation. So if that religious piece is not there, which is the glue, we're going to have physical and mental problems. And I always say this: if you don't know what happened to a person and what they've gone through in the past, you're going to eventually see that person. And can you deal with that person? And the only way you can deal with that person is if you had that conversation, if you had the communication, and you know the trials and tribulations are coming. But at the same time, can we deal with this together? Are we prepared for this? So with that, I just want to say that I hope I said a little something that could be said. But it's a tremendously comprehensive program that has to take place when you're talking about having a relationship with somebody. That ship will never go anywhere if you can't relate.
Absolutely.
With that. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Relationship, yes. You know, well, we got a comment from on Facebook.
Unseen. You know, we can plan, but
yes,
so correct. This life brings
it's unpredictable.
Unforeseen circumstances.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But if we have a guiding principle in our lives that will sustain us as these things pop up, as these things occur, we have to have a one main guiding focus.
Absolutely.
That will keep us stable in the midst of a storm.
You have to.
The storm will come, but after the storm, the sun will shine.
Absolutely. We certainly appreciate your wisdom, and we have a comment on Facebook here from our Monday host Zelda. She says, "Grand Rising, you beautiful queen," and she says it's a very appropriate subject. So many marriages are suffering and need to hear this. Thanks for sharing. And she also says that couples often stay together out of fear of abandonment. Couples therapy is good, but both partners must agree to counseling, and that's a key thing. Just one person going, it might help you cope, but that other person not going to see the thing that they need to see in themselves. And she says it sounds like the man needs to maybe teach a course as well, you know, and we do encourage those who have experience to share their wisdom, because that's why we're here, to share. So we do thank you very much for that. You know, and you know, well, we've got another caller on the line, and if you've got another caller, we'll take yours as well. But you know, a lot of times it's fear that keeps people staying in a relationship that probably should end, because they maybe fear they can't take care of themselves, but they're not happy and they're making everybody miserable. And so that is one of the things that also that we have to look at. Are you enhancing the person's life you're staying with, or are you just holding on to them because you need them financially? That is not the best reason. But let me take the next caller, area code 773-977, Grand Rising. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments.
Good morning to all. This is Lois here in Chicago. Still going through this cold. But you know, I have been married, divorced, I should say, twice. Married 3 times, but divorced twice. And I can honestly say that when you reconcile to dump your children, you wind up in a long run hurting those children even more.
Ooh.
Children are going to be affected from a divorce no matter what, but we as mothers think, oh, well, you know, I want my children to live with their father. I don't want to take a chance on some man coming in, raping my daughter. I'd rather for her to be with her father. So you reconcile. And I think that's the worst thing we can ever do. If the guy had a chance to do it right and he didn't do it right, you don't give that rascal another chance. You don't even think about it. I don't think you have 10 children.
Wow.
And if he's not taking care of the children, if he's abusing you, you know. So staying married for children, I think it's wrong. A lot of these men, I feel, are out here looking for mamas. Most of these women take care of their sons. They're 30 and 40 years old, still living with mama. So they're out here looking for a mama. They want free rent, free gas, light, free sex, and they want to tell you what to do when they come in the house. And most of them don't want to get married. They just want to live on you and, you know, do their thing. So I wanted to say to Maisha that, you know, whatever she feels that she created, I'd like to know about that creation. But I do know that whatever she did or didn't do, God knew about it then. He knows about it now. And it's already solved. So you might as well just start working. And I feel that we have all kinds of, I'm sorry, giving honor to Brother Kareem and to you, Mike, Naima, and all of the people who are listening. This is a subject that we all should share, because when you stay with someone who's not making you happy, it's because only God can give you the person to make you happy. If you got into a relationship and it didn't work out, it's because you chose that person. God didn't give you that. God's not going to give you anything that's not good. So when we let God make those choices, and some people don't feel we have to get married at all. We can live together and not get married. They really catch problems and bringing babies in the world. These babies are coming up children. So, you know, loving one another, trusting in God. You know, there's nothing that He won't do for us. Nothing He hasn't done thus far. This virus and all this mess, we're still here. Even though I have a cold or something. But we're still here, and I desire prayer from everyone today. Everyone listening, and those who wanted to be listening today, because I know God loves us. And thanks so much for this. I don't feel you should reconcile. Divorce if it's going to make you happy, just go on and do it. Just say next. And if God doesn't give you, next.
I love you so much, Lois. Thank you so much for your comments. We appreciate you. Well, now what she said, of course, brings us to our second case regarding the decisions you make and why. And we have another couple, Paul. Yes.
Before we move forward, we have another caller on the line.
Okay, well, let's get their thoughts before we take a break, and then we'll go to the next situation. Go right ahead.
Okay, Erica 504-451. The Fort Lauderdale American Muslim Teachers.
And the listening audience, praise be to Allah. I came on the show so I can get some advice and something of courtship and marriage program. And I have been listening, and I was thinking about reconciliation, right? And now looking at the fact that when you wake up, you're being dead. So to do what's correct as a person, not service to God, and be mindful of other spouses and what they have to deal with, and the love will be there as long as we are concerned about helping together. And that's basically how I go through life. I like to help people.
And Bilal, can I ask you what I'm sorry, Bilal, can I ask you what state are you calling from, or city you're calling from?
Oh, yes, excuse me. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
And I thought I remember New Orleans. All right.
The worst man in the world.
Well, now, what did I get here? Did somebody say something about the worst person in the world?
No, I said the New Orleans men are the worst men in the world.
Oh, that's what you say.
Now that's a bit of a stereotype.
And I told him, I said, I'm here, and I'll be there when I leave also. Let me see, I didn't want to get into this thing, but put it like this. Well, I'm at my mom's house now, but anyway, people in New Orleans, the men, it's kind of like I was calling up. Let me see, I'm trying to do this fast. I called up and I asked my sister, well, how things are and how Bernie so doing? And my sister would tell me, just say, oh, he got a job now. And I was like,
that's an important thing.
The fact that he has a job is all I think. And I just tell him, he's supposed to have a job. And you'll see us on the back of the bus, 3 o'clock in the morning time, without a black bag. And we going down in Mama house. Yeah, so it's they have a lot of little boys in New Orleans, and I understand that. And that's a good thing. And they're lying a minute also. Now here's where I go again. Investing in the soul, keep that reality that Allah wants us to have. And I depend solely on Allah. So my wife and I, we love each other because we love Allah, and we want to keep what we have going. After a while, put so much time into any situation, you don't want to leave that and talk about going somewhere else. But if divorce comes, I know that I'm going to go somewhere else, and she's going to go somewhere else. Because why? Because that's what Allah wants us to do. But, praise be to Allah, that is, keep Allah out front in the relationship. And it's going to work. Every hurt is something that's good about to happen. You ain't doing nothing wrong. So accept that destiny. And go on and handle your business from there. And everything will work out all right. Okay?
Well, all right.
Everybody.
Well, thank you so much for those thoughts. Absolutely, yes. Wa alaikum salam.
I can add some statements to where before you it is very important that we be true to ourselves. That we can live inside of our imagination. I'm out. Hold it. Is there any? I ask myself, Karina, is there anything that you are working on to improve yourself?
Mm.
There are many things. So, Almighty God says, never will He change the condition of a people until they themselves change what is troubling their hearts or their soul. So we have a part to play in the success of relationships. We will investigate the other person. We'll send them we'll sit them in a chair in a room, put the spotlight on them, and interrogate them. But are we being honest and an honest assessment of ourselves? See, I think that is very important. That what are we offering? Are there some things about me that I need to remove? So I think that's an important part in this building of relationship and family. That we do an honest assessment of ourselves and remove those things that are troubling our heart and our soul. I'll separate them all. And plus one more thing. Oh boy, this will be short. Almighty God says it is He who places love and mercy between your hearts. I'll stop right there. Thank you for that.
All right.
Your sharing and your honesty.
Yes, thank you so much. And we'll be right back. And area code 773-737. We'll take you next. And if you got another caller on the switchboard, also let me know. And we'll be right back after this short break. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325. And Grand Rising to Sheila Stamps, who joins us on Facebook. We appreciate you. If you want to join us live on Facebook, just go to Facebook and type in The Female Solution, and you can meet us face to face. And we will be right back after this quick break. So stay with us.
What if you could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant? Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Tucson Essentials on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jody Susan. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
Have you ever dreamed of going to exotic places, meeting fascinating people, enjoying uplifting music, and spending nights in a luxurious hotel? Do you look forward to a relaxing vacation where you can walk along the beach or sit in a quiet park and enjoy the sunset or sunrise? Whether you're flying around the world or driving across the country, we will share travel tips that will help you stay safe while you enjoy the journey. Join me every third Saturday of the month, 12 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and move around with Deborah here on the Female Solution Show. Call in and comment 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we are talking about reconciliation or divorce, whether or not, which one is best, how to decide. It's not an easy decision. We looked at one couple that had been married for over a couple of decades with 3 children who are now grown, who were in the midst of making that decision. Now I'm going to take a look at the next couple married for a short time and see perhaps if they should try to make it work. And then we'll go to our next caller at 773-737. Now, Paul married Dana when his son with her was just 2 years old. And now he's believing perhaps the marriage was a mistake because it was easier to get along with Dana when she was just his girlfriend living with her parents. But now they have an apartment together, but they argue all the time. And Paul wants to leave, but he can't bear the thought of not being around to raise his son, little Paul Jr., who's now 4. And he can't bear the thought of having another man enter Dana's life and raise his son. So he can't get along with her. It was easier when she was a girlfriend at a distance. He loves his son. Cohabitating, being the husband and wife, it just doesn't seem like it's working. Should they try to get counseling and save the marriage, or just end it and agree to co-parent their son? So that's the question. And before we take our caller, Kareem, what are your thoughts on that? You know, sometimes people get married, you know, okay, she got married, we got a baby together, we should be family. But then somehow, like Maika was saying, you know, if you don't learn how to be a couple, just getting married doesn't make it happen. And just having a child doesn't make it happen. You have to learn some skills. So are they early enough in the marriage where they can try to learn those skills, or does it sound like they don't really like each other enough to build a future?
They like each other enough to make a baby. They liked each other enough to get together when she was living under the charge of her parents. It is only when I'm not sure whether you said that they got married or not, but they began to live in the same states.
Yeah, they got married because, you know, it was kind of like parents saying, okay, you all need to make this official. You should be living together, and he should be being a husband. So they did this with, you know, the belief that this is what you should do. That's the appropriate thing. But they weren't necessarily prepared to be husband and wife living in a house. A lot of things that you need to learn, you know, about co-managing and being in a house together. They didn't necessarily, the cohesion isn't there. So, you know, the romance and even having the son isn't working out those details of how you be in a house and cooperate in a house and get along in a house. You know, they got their apartment, you know, he's got a job, he can pay the rent, but that's not making them be able to get along. They can't figure it out.
Well, you know, right. So as you were on mentioning that they didn't have education along those lines. They didn't have the knowledge associated with being married. There's a preparation stage for when we graduate. When we graduate in any area of our lives, we become educated in that. But that's not always the formula. There is such a thing called on-the-job training. Some people become employed and they offer on-the-job training. And since the parents encourage that they should make this bond sacred, then they should be a part of the mentoring and the instruction of on-the-job training. Sometimes things happen and we're not adequately prepared, but that don't mean that we drop the ball and run away. That's not the best. That's the irresponsible response. They have produced a living human being, and they are married. But because now here is circumstances and situations that I'm presented with, and I haven't been adequately educated as to how to deal with this. I would say stay on the job.
Stay on the job and get some training. Yes.
Get on the job training. You have both parents. So look, we cannot, when we say family, I think our mind is always on that small nuclear.
That nuclear. And sometimes your in-laws, yes. Well, I mean, you do need your wider family. Sometimes your parents can help, and sometimes their marriage might not have been the best, but they just stayed in it. So, you have to look at what do you want a good marriage to look like. But we got a caller I'm going to get to and get some thoughts. I believe we've got some wisdom with Mama D at 773-737. Grand Rising. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Female Solution.
Hallelujah, greetings and grand rising to you.
Hallelujah, greetings.
Grand rising happened this morning. Hallelujah, greetings. Goes on and on and on.
Yes.
It is written in the Black History Bible book, whose hero is a woolly-haired man with bronze-colored feet to match his bronze-colored face, that wisdom was there in the beginning when everything was made. But most Bible books have wisdom missing, and it's not there. And so, and the equality of male and female that was explained on the sixth day, it skipped over. So now in this age of reason, I think we need to question, why is that portion skipped over? Male and female created he them. It's not that complicated. And he blessed them. Male got blessed, the female got blessed. And he told them, male and female, to be useful and multiply, because it takes two to tango. And he told them to take dominion over the earth. But skipping over that part and omitting wisdom is a problem. Now, when I heard the triangle, spiritual, mental, and physical, but that's not the development of people. I was wondering at what stage in development does spiritual kick in, because usually it's physical attraction, and there might be some emotional and mental connection, And then you can save this marriage if you can develop that spiritual component, that component that says somebody bigger than you and I, and don't just be leaning onto your own comprehension, but you can have some guiding rules that will take you away from, oh, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're wrong and I'm right. That whole conflict of, at the end of the day, if you really take a close look at it, it's not being willing to see something from another person's perspective because of that 6th day and no equality. I'm supposed to boss you. I'm supposed to bully you. You're supposed to shut up. And that's a cultural thing, I think, more than a commandment thing. But if we can back up off the culture and get into the commandment, I think we would all live better and more meaningful lives. And to answer your question, I think if they can develop a spiritual component, because I guess my question is, at what point, at what stage in a human being's development does that spirituality kick in? Because you are from the get-go, from the first meal that you have at your mother's breast, that is a physical thing, fulfilling a physical need. And then as you grow and the head develops, you grow mentally. And that spiritual component, the one that holds everything together, the glue that makes everything work, that, I think the position of that is in 3rd place instead of 1st place. So could we have some dialogue and clarity on that?
Well, thank you, Mama D, for bringing that up. And I think that probably is one of the challenges that keep people at a crossroads, because the initial attraction was physical. I've observed that when marriages work, it's because there was that spiritual component at the base. And I think if that is something that's developed in the child early, that becomes the guiding force. And, and she also, Brother Kareem, she brings up a thing that I think is really going to be critical for us going into the future and repairing the damaged relationships culturally around the world. That's why we see it in so many religions around the world. The attitude of one gender being of lesser value than the other permeated the attitudes of the people. And even when they were given divine guidance that said all are equal, they still changed it and made it, no, the man is better than the woman. And so you have that undercurrent of disrespect for the feminine. And you can't have a successful relationship unless you understand that very basic spiritual principle that all are expressions of divine energy, all are of equal value, and we are to work in a divine partnership in the enhancement of the earth. And if we can't get that right, then we really, all our relationships are going to be based on the wrong thing, even with the women, or even sometimes today the men, seeking somebody who can just take care of their physical needs, be it, okay, this is a person I'm sexually attracted to, or this is a person I need them to pay my rent, or, my car note, or whatever, keep me in clothing, whether it's male or female. If the soul and the soul tie, the heart, the love is not at the foundation, I think whatever it was that brought them together is going to wear out over time and not going to sustain them. And I think that has to be taught, that spirituality has to be ingrained and demonstrated so they can recognize it. That's my belief on that. What are your thoughts on that? And do you have any other callers on your switchboard that want to comment on that?
No, I don't see it at this time, but I want to, share with us.
And thank you, Sheila. Sheila says, good point. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God. perception, the perception has been skewed, it is biased. The understanding can be biased.
Mm-hmm.
The information can be correct, but the biases that accompany the information can change the perception. Let's say the word equal. The male and female are equal. Now, please bear with me. Please. They are not the same. They are not the same. The female is where the life is deposited in, and her physicality, her nature, that is the womb, and the life is evolved from a small sperm, and the sperm enters the egg, and a lump of flesh is developed from that. Then bones are formed inside of the flesh to give it structure. And after a certain period of time, God said, and another creature is created. That is when God breathed into that fetus lump some of his spirit. Then it becomes a living soul. And after a prescribed point in time, the child exits the womb. No male can do that. No male can do that. The male is the one that emits the life germ that we call sperm. He emits that into the female. No woman, no female can do that. Only the male. So they are not the same, but they are both essential. They are both essential processes. They are both equally valuable. So once we understand the perception, our perception has been skewed.
Yeah.
About the man, he's supposed to be the boss and all of that. But he cannot produce, he cannot house the new formed life. The female cannot emit the sperm that enters into the egg, and we become who we are now. But there are two essentials. One is not better than the other. They are both essential to each other.
That's right.
And they both have great value. So it is this type of understanding that we must apply to the revealed word of Almighty God, to change our perception and erase these biases that human beings have placed within Scripture. Yeah. That is what I'm explaining now. That is what God says. In no wise is the female like the male, and in no wise is the male like the female, because of those two functions that I just shared with you. But they are essentials and equally valuable.
Absolutely.
But that is how we have populated this earth.
That's
and that
right.
formula has not changed. Yes, ma'am.
That is true. That is true. And I think there has to really be a systematic re-education, which you can't really change people who are already grown and old and they have their concepts as so much as you can begin to reshape the thinking of the next generation that we're bringing forth. They can see the mistakes that we made, and they can learn from those mistakes, and they can decide not to repeat those mistakes. We really do want stable families going into the future. We want husbands and wives. We want men and women to be drawn to each other, soul to soul, heart to heart, spirit to spirit. And we want them to enjoy each other's company. We want them to value each other. And we want them to learn how to cooperate, how to co-parent, how to share responsibilities, and how to benefit from each other's strengths and learn to forgive each other's weaknesses. We want them to learn these skills because this is how you build family, community, a nation, a world. And if we can get along in that household, we can get along across the water. But these skills have to be learned. And the basic principle, I believe, is understanding that all are of equal value. And when you value someone, you treat them well. You speak to them kindly. You care about their feelings. You're honest with them. And you work on yourself. And you strive to be your best self. When we can do that, I believe we can save our relationships if they have enough of a foundation where we really appreciate each other. And if we're willing to get counseling, if we're willing to admit that we play a part in this, we created whatever situation that we're in. And if we are willing to work on our shortcomings, if we're willing to forgive the other's shortcomings, if we're willing to change some thought patterns so that we can build on what is wholesome and good in both of us, I think any relationship can last. I think any relationship can work if there was enough that drew you together in the beginning, where you liked each other enough and you believe that there was love enough to get together. If it wasn't just purely selfish, oh, well, he makes money, oh, she got a house. If it wasn't purely selfish, where you really did care for the person, I think you can make it work. Now, if it was selfish, don't torture that person by hanging on to what they got and you don't like them.
That's right.
Get out of it. So last parting words, Brother Kareem, before we go, last words of advice for our couples in crisis.
I shall return back to your original faith. We can all live peacefully with each other if we agree to share.
I like that.
That's my closing statement.
Well, all right. Well, thank you all so much for being with us today on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid. Thank you to our American Muslim 360 family, and join us tomorrow for Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. As always, we're going to get to the heart and soul of the matter and help you enhance your life. Until then, continue to shine your light.
Go to www.facebook.com/thefemalesolution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our book, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Jean-Kujun, France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Nyabonga, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakkur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.